And we are rolling.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Creative Businessmen. Today is just me and Daniel.
Hey.
Well, if you don't know, Neil Hoover.
Daniel Story. I'm back, bitches.
And our producer.
What's up, guys? Hi.
His name is Jesse, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I forget my name sometimes.
Yeah. It's funny is we were just running through the all the songs with Jesse in it too. So
yeah. So speaking of Jesse, Jesse's about to buy a new house. You and your wife are looking at new homes, right?
That's right. This is new territory for me. I figure I'd like to, before I pass from this earth, know what it's like to own a house. I'm getting close to 50, so I always felt like I'm a nomad. I never felt really comfortable anywhere I've lived, and it feels like it's time. You know, it's something I haven't. You know, is this a logical thing to do? It seemingly. Yeah, on some levels, because I hate living in other people's places, and I don't, you know, if I want to put a hole through the wall, I can. Not that I do that, but just knowing, I like it. There's something about the possession, it being mine, even though I know I'm just a steward of it.
Yeah,
but, you know, that kind of stuff.
Let me ask you: do you are you're married, legally married, right?
Oh yeah,
it's a possession thing, right? No. I mean, like you're not renting it; you own it, right? Like
I guess so. Yeah,
both ways, right? Like,
I mean, you know, I'm owned, and there's an even keel of
yeah. She owns you, you own her, right? Like
Exactly.
it's like that with a house. Like there's just something about it. It's this possessive thing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you plan to own it? And it's hard to think forever,
right.
Like humans, I firmly believe that we can't think about forever in a decision today. But do you think it's a long-term decision?
I think I better find a place that I'm happy being in, just in case it happens that I can't move out of it. So I'd like to find a place that, even if I grow old and something there, there's a lot worse places to live. And I've lived in them renting. Like I live in, you know, not the best place now.
So my opinion, you're like, you know, is it the best time? Is it logical? Well, if it's a long-term decision, it does not matter what it, like everybody's going to say right now, okay, what's going on in the real estate market? Right now is a seller's market.
Yep.
Like unless you're in like South Dakota, like right now, if you're in a market that's outside of a suburb and outside of a major city, or if you're in a market where like on a lake or on a beach, if you're outside of a major area, metro area, like these markets are exploding. It's literally a seller's market. Their inventory is down everywhere. Right. Like you want to move to Nebraska. Right, they're not having the same thing happen, but for the most part of the country, the housing market is just booming. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking at it from a financial perspective, right now it's going to bring a premium, but that doesn't matter, right? Because over time, housing, just like everything else, goes up, right? Yeah, right, and you're locking in at today's dollars, and if you're going to be there for an extended period of time, it doesn't matter. Okay,
and actually, I think you're in a smaller town, so
you may not have so much of that effect.
Right.
That's right. And so that's a lot of it. That's why I asked, is it a long-term decision? If you were going to buy it and you're looking at like a 2-year, 3-year thing, no, I would tell you, as much as I'm against renting, unless you wanted to turn into a landlord eventually, right, I would tell you you're probably better off to rent. But you've been renting a long time. Yeah. I'm a big believer in owning things, right? Yeah. Because you own it, you get the tax write-off, right? You shouldn't buy something just for the tax write-off, but it's a nice benefit.
Sure.
There's something nice about owning something.
There is, man. And hey, you want to fuck the wall up, you fuck the wall up. Right. Right? It's my house. Yeah. There's something to be said about it's my house.
Exactly. Yeah.
We've talked about maybe it could be a good idea to buy, if you already own real estate, to let one of your real estate companies buy the property that you're going to live in and rent from your company.
Yeah, right.
But
definitely.
I mean, that doesn't apply to you.
Yeah, no, not quite.
no, but maybe eventually, because there's some additional write-offs you can have with that way. But I think it's the lion's share of what you make. I'm assuming over the years, over the last 30 years as a tenant, or 20 years as a tenant, whatever it is, has you didn't get anything for it. Had you owned homes that whole time, you'd have a lot of equity build up in property.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think let's go ahead and fix that. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And like everybody's worried that things are expensive and they're going to drop, but it doesn't matter because over a long period of time, if you look at any real estate cycle in the history of the United States, over a long period of time, it goes up. Right. Right. I mean, it's trends. I think there's not a period within, if you look at the historical averages, real estate on average in the United States doubles every 16 years. A residential real estate doubles in value every 16 years. And so you got to think about that from that perspective. Like, do you make a decision today, then maybe the housing market crashes 3 years from now, 2 years from now, I think 18 months, 2 years from now. But it doesn't matter. The only time it matters is if you're going to sell. And if you're
Right.
not planning to sell in 2 years, it's irrelevant. What it costs, what somebody's willing to pay for it 2 years from now is absolutely irrelevant if you're not selling.
Honestly, I see it like it's a place that I see like if I move somewhere else, it's not going to be for another like 8 years.
Yeah,
10
so then
years
you're
or
good,
something
man.
like
Yeah, you're going to
that.
be there. There's no way to predict with a certainty where the market's going to be in 8 to 10 years. But if you look historically, I think it's going to be worth more than what you paid for it, right? And you've gotten the tax write-offs during it, and you've got debt pay down. And if it goes up in value, right, you have an appreciation in property value. That spread right there, that gap between your debt pay down and appreciation in property value is equity.
Right.
So you're going to be well leveraged. And then there's the credit aspect. There's all these other things that tie into it, and,
Right.
and just stability, period, for you.
Sure.
And there's like this mental thing, man. This mental thing that, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Just going home, like, I take pride, great pride in going home to something that I work, I would say on a light week, 80 hours a week, on a heavy week, 100 hours a week. Typically, I'm 100 hours a week. And I put all this effort and time, energy, and all this sacrifice, and then going home to something I own. Like, I take great pride in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think you'll see that too.
That's exactly sort of the thing I want. You
Yeah.
know? I just want that feeling, I
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
man.
also, if it's in a good area, a desirable area, then it can make a good rental property in the future if you
That's
do
right.
move.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'd love to see you turn into a landlord. Seriously.
Yeah.
It could happen. Actually, some of the one of the smartest guys on the film set I know, one of the smartest guys he knew was actually into real estate when he was working out in LA. He said, like, I make a lot of my money this way,
Yeah.
though I'm on set all day,
Yeah.
but I got that going. So he started doing it. He does it. He did it here too,
Man,
Pretty neat.
real estate is, and everybody says it's the slow way to wealth. I'm not entirely sure. I think there's no overnight.
Right.
There's definitely no overnight, but at the same point, there are things you can do in real estate and it creates stability, right? Because there's not huge fluctuations. Imagine
Right.
the market booms. Rents still take time to rise.
Yeah.
Price values still take time to rise. And part of that's due to you have to have comps. And so, like, let's say that supply and demand kicks in and there's no supply, demand goes up, and people are paying 20, 30, 50,000 over list, right?
Right.
They can't get the loan, right? Because when the lending it trails those property values, and so it has to be pushed up. And that takes a little bit because you need people that are willing to bring in cash to the table to be able to overpay for a house. And then
Okay.
if you get enough of that, what starts to happen is it starts to bring the values up of all the remaining houses around it.
Yeah.
So it trails a little bit, and everything in real estate, in my experience, trails. Like, price increases trail, crashes trail. Like, you'll see stock market is more of an instant effect, and sometimes that's a negative. Could be something political, could be something that's, Elon Musk smoking weed on Joe Rogan.
Well,
right?
also, every time the central banks
Print money.
create money, it makes
Yeah,
the
it
stock market increase.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of factors where real estate isn't so volatile, and I really like that about it.
Yeah.
So I think it creates stability for you. I think it's a good thing, and then you turn into a landlord at some point, and and it just, I don't know, it's funny how it happens, because you go from zero and then you get one, you get under your belt, and you see how easy it was, and then you're like, oh, I can do this again. Rinse, wash, repeat.
I like it.
So congrats, man, on the decision to go down this path.
Thank
Yeah.
you very much. Yeah. It's just been kind of a long time coming, and I hate renting, and I've done it for close to 50 years.
Yeah, it's time, bro. It's time. I like it. And if you don't mind me asking, and maybe this is too personal,
No.
what do you think you spend a year renting right now?
Oh, geez. Well, right now I've gotten my rent kind of low. It's not the most fanciest place in the world, to put it lightly. But I pay like $750 a month.
Wow.
Right now,
So you're spending $9,000 a year in rent.
yeah, on something that I don't own.
Yeah.
And
That adds up.
that's like a tenth of a house or something for me, or a little more. Than that.
Bro, you 100%. And because the interest rates are so low right now, they're just ridiculously low. You can buy a whole lot of houses. There's another reason the house values have gone up. It's not just supply and demand. The interest rates have gotten so low that people can afford more house.
Right.
Right. Well, there's not more house for sale. So part of this is they can afford more money for the same house.
Right.
And this is also, because there's a formula. The bank is going to tell you that you, let's say, rewind a year, they're going to say, okay, you're approved for $100,000. Right. But because interest rates have dropped, now you can get more money for the same payment. So now maybe you're approved for $140,000. right? You have this, maybe you have the exact same income, but the bank's willing to lend more because the interest rate is lower, your payment is lower.
Okay.
So you can afford more loan right now.
Right.
And that's the other thing that's also driving up home prices, right? And and then there's just this everybody is going, wow, the interest rates are at historic lows, let me lock in. Now's the time to buy a house.
Right.
So because of that too, it just contributes to this hey, it's time to buy a house.
The interest rates are low. I
They're
already
rich.
went through the
Yeah.
pre-approval, and I'm like, and I went and looked at something that would cover it 100%.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's pretty good.
Bro, you probably
Yeah.
for what you're paying in rent, you can get a whole lot of house, man.
I bet so.
A whole lot of house. And it's actually surprising. I used to tell people 600 per 100,000, 6,000 per million, right? So like to guesstimate a payment. And that number, that math doesn't really work right now with those low interest rates.
Right.
It's actually, I'm actually guessing too high.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
I dig it.
Yeah, man.
Very cool. All right, so topics for today. I wanted to talk about. Saw someone recently talking about changing their opinion on different issues, and it's always kind of a taboo thing for like politicians to change their position on something.
Right.
Like they say it's flip-flopping or whatever. But I think it's important to be able to be flexible with your ideas and to be able to change your opinion or your viewpoints on different things based on new perspectives, new science, because everything is constantly changing, and I believe we should always be constantly changing also and be flexible and more open with our ideas. So I don't know. I have a problem when I think, you see a lot of people in society that they'll have a certain viewpoint on something and they're just very rigid with it, and they're not able to move away from certain ideologies or to be flexible with their ideas. And I even see it with scientists. Older scientists will be really stuck. It's almost like they're stuck on an idea, and they may say, well, this other thing, this new thing's not possible. And then it happens the next year.
Well, I remember when CRISPR first came out, everybody was dogging on it. Now it's all over the news, and it's a real thing.
It's a great example.
Crazy.
Yeah. Actually, they said when the scientists, the researchers working on CRISPR first started working on it, they said, well, it'll take hundreds of years to sequence the human genome, and then they did it the next year. So,
Hey, speaking of that, I need to read. My first test was corrupted for my
Right,
DNA
yeah.
test, and they sent me the kit, and I just haven't gotten around to doing it. So on air here, will you remind me to
Yes.
do my DNA? Has yours come back yet?
not yet. Well, they put everything on hold so they could make those test kits for
that's
COVID.
right, yeah.
But
So I don't feel so bad then.
it should be any time. My
Yeah.
results should come back.
I need to get
anytime.
on mine. But anyway, you were saying so don't be rigid.
Yeah, we change our positions on things all the time.
I'm open. So and this is the thing that really gets me. Everybody wants to, not everybody, but a lot of people want to immediately make an assumption. They look at how I look or how I dress or what I drive or the fact that I'm a business person, and they start to make these these assumptions about who I am as an individual, but they don't take the time to actually get to know me. Like I'm open to change. I'm open. Like I'm so open to it. Like you're an atheist, I'll talk to you. Buddhist, I'll talk to Christian. I don't care, and I'm open. I think there's a lot of value in that, and I'm here to be convinced. Like and I don't mean. Have you ever seen like the guy that says, "This is my point, change my mind"? Like this is what I believe. Now prove me wrong or something like that.
Yeah, it's usually people that are really big into debunking, stuff like that. Yeah.
So my problem with that is that they're taking that. They're literally coming at it from a defensive perspective. Hey, here's my position, and then then it's an argument, right? It's a debate. Right. I don't even do that.
Some of that's clickbaity too, though.
It's clickbaity, but for me, it's more like maybe I'm unsure about something. Maybe there's a topic that, hey, I'm not sure. I'd like to learn more.
Yeah.
And then maybe there's some things that I believe one way that I start to look at it like, this is controversial, but in general, my children, let's say that I had a child, I got somebody pregnant, got wife pregnant, girlfriend pregnant, whatever. I got somebody pregnant. I personally can't bring myself to abort the baby, right? Personally,
right, yeah.
It's a personal. I can't do it, right? Yeah. It's not a religious thing. It's a moral thing for me personally on an individual level.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard other people go, oh man, what's going to be hard? It's going to be difficult. It's going to cause problems in your relationship. Like for me, I think about it and I go, it doesn't matter that it's difficult. For me, I can't do it, right?
Yeah.
I'm open to hearing about why people do it, and I'm not, that's their decision to make, right? Like, but I'm open to it. I don't know that my mind would ever change on that personally.
Yeah.
But I get that other people have the right to make a decision, right? But
Right,
I'm
yeah.
open to it. So I used to be, this is something I changed on because when I was much younger, I didn't think about it. Like I'd say, oh, yeah, you make a mistake, you get rid of the mistake, right? And then now I look at, so I don't know, and that's a controversial topic, but
Sure, yeah.
it's one of those things like I'm really struggling with that one, right?
Right, yeah.
And but at the same point, when it's not about me, when it doesn't involve me, when it's not my child, I just don't know that I have the right to tell somebody else what they can do with their body or their child.
Right.
And,
yeah.
and I think there's some.
I think for me, it's like
there's some time things in there too.
Yeah,
that
there's
get a little funky.
from the science perspective.
That's what I'm
taking
thinking.
religion out of it.
Yeah,
It's when does this other being have feelings and
Yeah.
and
when do they exist?
right, yeah, and if if you're
And I agree with you. So I think I'm leaning more towards science and evidence based and less political.
if it's
less,
a few cells, okay,
Yeah.
I don't really have an issue with it, but if it's later on and it actually looks like a child, like a baby, then
Yeah.
it starts to be
Heartbeat and
I have
all
a
that.
problem with that.
Yeah.
I'm just not. I don't think that's a
Yep.
progressive thing in humanity. I think with our current technology, but a lot of that is if you fix society, you fix a lot of these issues.
Yeah, all
anyway.
the underlying problems and issues that allow for that to happen,
Yeah.
and then, like you can see a lot of versions why people might not want to, because it's like, well, if I have a kid here, he's going to starve to death.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, there's a lot
and then
of
it's sort of like that. Or if I have a kid in this country, like there's no hope.
right. Yeah.
Or something happened to me that
Yeah.
I have an unwanted pregnancy. It
Yep.
was forced upon me.
Yeah.
Something.
That's right. Yeah,
like
you have
that.
rape
Yeah.
and you have
Incest.
also you have issues
You have
where
incestual rape too.
Sure.
Like
right.
yeah.
You have mother's health is a
Yeah.
big issue. I don't have a problem with any of those things. And my problem is if someone puts it off too long,
Yeah.
and because it's not you don't want to wait.
No, I think you got to be very proactive about it. But these are all things like and you and I are talking, Jesse, and I think for the most part, most people agree on the general, the overarching idea. What they disagree about are the specifics, right?
Right, yeah.
That's where these political battles come in. Well, no, it's okay at 16 weeks. Well, no, it's okay at 30 weeks. So there's like these little things where everybody kind of like draws a line in the sand. But I think the overarching thing is, like you said, is hey, let's solve.
But then
Let's start to
also
solve some of these other problems.
But then also you've got a lot of times the same people that would just be adamantly against that for any reason would also be adamantly against feeding that child when nobody can feed it.
I
Oh
agree.
yeah, or when it happens to them,
Yeah.
they may.
Right.
Well, it's me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not
Oh, yeah.
perspective,
I
right?
hate
Yeah.
that, and I'm not going to call any names, but I'm not going to point out any specific names. But I cannot stand when someone makes a rule and then breaks it themselves.
Yeah, well,
Right? Like I cannot stand that. Like, okay, listen, if even me, like if I do something and it's at my own detriment, and I'm dealing with it currently. There's other things, just throughout my life. There's times where I've done something and I go, well, this is literally this is your skin in the game. This is the price you pay, right? And there's at my children's taekwondo on the wall at RT Berry anyway at the children's taekwondo it says medicine is never sweet, right? And so for me it's like sometimes the solution to the problem, the thing that makes you better, is painful. Right,
and there's some good grape flavors out there too.
there is some now there is, but I feel like that's the thing. Like if something's difficult, maybe it's supposed to be. It's part of what you got to learn, right?
Yeah, right.
If you act and there's no resistance, there's no negativity, there's no pain in the action, then it doesn't deter that behavior in the future.
Right. Yeah.
So on some level, I think that a little bit of pain, a little bit of suffering, a little bit of that is probably good for the spirit and overall. But I'm definitely open to be convinced, man. About
There's no
all
shortage
kinds
of
things.
hypocrisy in our society.
Duff, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So, and there's a lot, but I think you're exactly right. I think part of our problem is we can't today. People struggle to have a civil conversation. Everybody gets so defensive Like we can't even discuss anything anymore.
Yeah.
And the moment you try to discuss it or even express an opinion that you're open to be changed about, you get labeled as one thing.
Yeah.
And
A
this
lot of
is
times
kind
I'll
of
say stuff about things when I'm just trying to figure it out. Like I'm not sure how I feel about it.
yeah.
And you can't, and I try not to generalize either.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause a lot of people want to just generalize something and put it into a little box.
Yeah.
And nothing is that simple. Every issue is affected by endless other issues.
You know, one of these things too, and this is not the same thing you're talking about, but just kind of a caveat from this or at arm's length. I don't understand, I don't want to use the term cancel culture, but I don't understand attacking somebody for a mistake.
We need a forgiveness culture.
We got to figure out like, look, if someone makes a mistake, a genuine mistake, and I don't mean that you guilted them or you political pressured them or you threatened to cancel the way they make a living to get them to apologize. That's not what I'm talking about. If someone makes a mistake and they genuinely apologize for something, they admit, hey, look, this was an error of judgment. This was a bad decision. This was this. And what happened to like the rehabilitation side? What happened to like this ability to say, hey, you know what? I made a mistake and be able to move on with their life. Like, I don't understand this destroy people at all cost. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Redemption is one of the best stories that humanity has.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
it's you're totally right. And you're demonized whether you're really far away from both sides, but they want to push you in to that thing. It's like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know.
Man, I mean, like, it's so crazy. And nobody wants to be reminded of their mistake every single day, all day, for an extended period of time. Like, how does somebody, what you create as a bitter, evil person, how does somebody move forward from if you don't give them an opportunity
Well,
to?
then what about the people like dishing it out at them after a while?
Yeah.
It just is like, it's just hate.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
I
what
mean,
they're doing, it's bullying, it's hate, it's, you know, like the people doing that. There are people, and I'm not, this is not the only reason, but I know of people that have been what they considered bullied because of mistakes they've made, and they end up taking their own life. And like, to me, that's extreme. Like if you attack somebody to such a point that they feel like you contribute to the only thing they think is they just can't deal with life anymore, like you've done the world a disservice, you've done yourself a disservice, you've done that person's family a disservice. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some stuff going on. You can't control that they did that, but at the same point, you contributed to it. And as a person looking at your own beliefs and your own morals and your own stuff, like I would feel terrible if I did that, you know?
Right.
Well, also, we're all influenced by our surroundings, our environments, other people around us. And when you see somebody that has a certain behavior, you kind of wonder what created that behavior. Where did that come from? And, you know, sometimes people are just broken.
I agree.
And, you know, at this point, we don't have, there are no solutions for certain things. Like if there's a rapist or a serial killer or some kind of murderer, you know, we have a prison system, you know. But outside of those things, if it's someone they say something racist or they're bigoted or whatever, you know, maybe they just need a new perspective. Maybe that's our opportunity to change that person's perspective and point of view as a society and say, look, this is why that's wrong. This is why that's painful and hurtful. And what kind of pain do they have in their life that makes them that way? How were they raised? What is the root of their bad behavior or their bad ideology? Because, you know, I really believe that we're all the same thing. I believe we're all one life form. I believe that all life is one life form, you know. And if a part of the life form is damaged or having a problem, you fix it. You know, you try to heal that part of the body. And you know, I feel like forgiveness and understanding is something we really lack in society, which it's really just empathy. Yeah. You know, we talk about that a lot on here. We need to be more empathetic towards each other, more understanding, and you know. And I also, you know, with the cancel culture thing, there are some people that do deserve punishment. You know, there are some
Sure.
people that
No,
have
100%.
a lot of power that have abused that power.
Yeah.
There's there's a fine line here. Some people actually deserve the shit because they were terrible and they don't really
I mean,
care.
I agree, and maybe that's some of that medicine is never sweet, right? Like maybe that's some of that, but I guess the problem is what it looks like. What's happening is, if you have an opinion that I don't like, no matter, I'm not talking, I'm not saying pro Democrat, pro Republican. This is not that. Anything.
Yeah.
If you have an opinion that's unpopular,
Right.
that we can just silence you. Like I don't.
That's
like
a problem. Yeah.
I want people that hate me to be able to publicly say they hate me.
Right, yeah.
I want people that disagree with me to be able to publicly disagree with me. Right. I think that's important.
Yeah.
If we end up in a society where everyone agrees, there is a problem. We have a society of yes men.
Right,
We don't have
no
a
one's
free-
thinking.
No one's thinking, exactly. I think that we should have debate. I think that there should be this thing, but I feel like it's got to be civil, and you can't just attack an opponent. It shouldn't be that, okay, I don't agree with this opinion. I hate this type of speech or these types of feelings or these types of opinions, and so I attack them. I don't like that.
So you're going more to censorship now, which is a big problem because we have a First Amendment. We probably have the best freedom of speech laws in the world, and I think that's very important. So if you get into like things like social media where they can just cancel people's accounts and stuff like that, that's problematic on many levels. I believe. I think that's not. I know those are private companies that they can do what they want, but they're so powerful and they have these big monopolies. We should have legislation that treats them more like a public utility, like the phone service.
Yeah.
That's
actually what it's turning out
you say
into.
some crazy shit on your phone, the telephone company's not going to cancel your phone service.
Yeah.
So I think it should be looked at more along those lines, and also. I want to see what people have to say. If someone's a crazy, bigoted person with bad ideas, I want to see them say those ideas. I want other people to see those ideas because it allows you to have a conversation and call them out on those ideas and debate them on those ideas.
The reason why it's kind of like a problem, why people like maybe overcompensate on some kind of level. Well, maybe that's the quickest way to deal with an issue or something like that. And then it gets really complex, but then a lot of the problems that we've had has been like, people saying this is how this is, and then all these people jump on it and say without really analyzing it. They're just doing what they've been taught. So how do we? I mean, I think stuff like Snopes used to, but they've been like this, like no, they're biased, they're over here. So then anything that comes up is going to get swung that way. Even the Hill, which I kind of like the Hill.
I like the Hill.
They're being pegged as totally like a way that they're not.
But that's fine though. That's always part of the conversation. So you still have an open conversation.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
But if you cancel one of those people and you take them away, then all those people that agreed with them are going to follow them to somewhere else, and then you can't see what's happening, and then you have an underground movement that can be really dangerous.
Lord knows what's happening on the dark web right now.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It should all be. You should let these ideas be open and let people debate them.
There are we like I said, I pride myself on I allow people to my life based on their interaction with me, how they treat me, and less about what other people think about those people. But there's definitely a lot of people that are getting frustrated, on all sides with different various things. And if their outlets for expressing that frustration are taken away from them, I feel like they become more desperate.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a problem.
And more angry.
And they feel like they don't have a voice. And, desperation is a terrible thing. And you get people that are angry and desperate, and they don't feel like they have a voice, and they don't feel like they have an outlet, and then they do dumb things,
and disenfranchise people.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I want to hear speech I don't agree with.
But that's the point of our laws. Yeah. I believe that social media companies should just have to. They should be treated like a utility, and they should have to abide by the laws of whatever country they're operating in.
Yeah.
And in our country, we have freedom of speech laws.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if someone breaks that law, then our legal system deals with that person.
Yeah.
Right.
If someone's inciting violence or doing threats or something, it's already illegal.
Yeah.
We already have a system to deal with that.
Yep.
I think something neat, like I went to UNC Asheville, kind of liberal arts college and stuff. But one thing they did really well was they allowed like an evangelical to come on And he's attacking everybody that's around him, but he's not hurting them.
Yeah.
Words and stuff.
Yeah.
But people will gather around and they'll sort of engage in conversations that he'll allow to happen. But, but I thought that was important because it says, here's this person that's completely different.
Yeah.
And he's here.
Yeah.
It's relatively a safe place to have this happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got cops and
Yeah.
whatever else. And I thought that was actually a good thing. I don't agree with those guys at all, but I think it was good for people to confront it.
Yeah, I agree completely.
Well, it's good to hear other perspectives
Yeah.
also because
What's coming is what it feels like sometimes what's coming is there's one way to do everything. Like,
Yes.
this is the religion. This is what you have to have. You can't have a different one.
it is very religious the way it's.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna persecute, prosecute, eliminate anybody that disagrees with this. And the problem is everybody thinks that's a great idea until it's
Till it flips on you.
until it flips, and then
Yeah.
it's against them, right?
Because it will. Because it'll eventually flip the other way, and that's the danger.
Right. And so I feel like for me, if I want to protect my rights, I have to protect other people's rights, and even if I don't agree with them.
Well, that's what created Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
It's the same. It's the same mentality. It's that censorship mentality. You can't. You have to have an open conversation, even with idiots.
Yeah.
Even though you despise certain people
I'm
and
fine
they have
with
terrible ideas, you have to have they have to have a place to express their ideas.
I love a little box at the bottom that says like you could vote. This person might be crazy, or like something like funny, and everybody can vote. And that way, when you go to like a ranking, this guy's getting a lot of traction, and then like #1 vote, this person might be crazy. Like
maybe it just says you have like two boxes. You have like reasonable.
Yeah, there you go. Reasonable.
Fucking idiot.
Fucking idiot.
Oh, emojis all the way. It should be.
Bro.
Like you pick the screwball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Like, because like it's fun. Like I look at it like I can't watch humor. You ever seen the things where there's like people that are doing something like some type of athletics or some type of sporting event and they get hurt? Like bad crashes, wrecking on a skateboard, right? And and people laugh, like funny bloopers, but they're painful.
Funny, yeah.
Well, people laugh at that shit. I can't watch it.
So I just talked
I
about
don't like
this
it
with somebody. I think it was Jesse.
Yeah. I
So
can't watch that shit.
I hate seeing people get hurt, but I don't feel as bad if they're intentionally doing something to get hurt.
So, listen.
It's like when it's accidental, I feel terrible. I can't stand it.
Well, so like for me, like that type of entertainment, right? That's how I feel about the idiots. Like you're saying, what'd you say, fucking stupid or
reasonable or fucking idiot?
fucking idiots. Like that would fall under fucking idiots for me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like it doesn't
Oh, yeah.
necessarily have to be a political thing I disagree with or an opinion I disagree with. Like fucking or some crazy person. That would be fucking idiot because I can't watch it. Like, right, literally, I watch it and I'm like, I can't. I'm like with my kids, like I'm like, watch your step. I'm like, hey, here's this. Like if there's a pebble on the ground and I see it, like, hey guys, watch out right here. Hey, careful up the stairs. Don't run in the house. Like it's just nonstop, right? Helicopter parent.
Oh, same here.
And I'm only there. I'm only there like a small window, but I don't want them hurt under my watch, right?
Oh, dude, I've been hurt so many times. I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
It's
It sucks,
no
yeah.
Bro, I got a video.
And the worst is when somebody's happy, especially
Yeah.
as a kid, and they get hurt. It's like, oh.
Bro, maybe we
Terrible.
should insert the clip right here. I've got like a little 30-second video of, sorry to my brother Chris and Nicole, of my nephew Caleb, where I had him on a tire swing with my kids. And they're like, and my kids, we were going all the time, so they were used to it. And they're like, faster. And Caleb's like, faster. And I'm like, all right. And he lets go. Right? And he's on the tire swing. He lets go. And his head just goes boom, boom, boom. And I'm trying to stop the tire. I mean, tire swing's I'm a big guy, but tire swing's got multiple kids on it. It's moving pretty good space. Like, it took me a minute. Like, I mean, we're talking about.
He should have had a stronger grip.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I told him, I was like, wow.
Just
I'm
kidding.
like, I don't know if you catch it on the film. Like, it's recorded, by the way, too. So it's
Yeah.
like boing, 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 boing.
Yeah, it sucks.
And I'm like, bro, I'm like, why'd you let go? Like, because he just literally, you just see him go, floop, bam.
well, it's like my daughter. She gets really excited and she starts hopping around and running in the house.
Yeah.
I'm like, Isla, stop. You're
Yeah.
gonna fall. Like, and she does sometimes.
Yeah.
And I know this is gonna happen. Well, you've been around her.
Yeah.
She's kind of clumsy.
Yeah, it happens.
It's like
man.
her upper
She-
body's not attached to her
the
lower
chair.
body.
She felt the chair at
Yeah.
where were we
In the
at?
mountains.
The mountains. We were at the mountains, and I
Twice.
was like, bloop.
She fell out of the big chair and the small chair.
and the small. I was like, oh,
Like, how do you fall out of a chair?
So yeah, I can't watch that stuff. But yeah, so I think we just got to dial in this social media stuff just a hair more. Like, I just don't want to censor everybody I disagree with. Like, that seems retarded.
I think
No,
we're on
yeah.
the precipice of actually a good idea. Either something like Facebook, and probably going to be happening, is going to right itself because they're constantly kind of, they're not slouches. I mean, they get a
Yeah.
lot of hate, but they fix stuff. you
No, they
know?
do.
But
Well,
there's a social media. There's someone could come up with a new social media site that's got it figured out like that.
Well,
that's a
I
hard
don't want to
time.
get into this too far, but
that could be censored too, though, because there's only a couple of
well,
tech companies that own all the apps.
Well, Elon, I think. Now, I'm going to say something that that is not. I'm not 100% sure about. So you guys go do your own research, but I believe it's Elon has more satellites in space than anybody else. I believe he partnered with, this is the political part, this is the hate part, Donald Trump Jr., and they are working on using the satellites and using his stuff because they don't have to rely on the servers that are owned by these other companies, and they're starting their own social media and their own stuff. And now, that's one example, but I think what's coming is because of all this stuff, I think you're going to have people that are right-wing and people that are left-wing, they're going to start their own things. And I hope it doesn't turn into this because now what we've done, we're going to create these echo chambers of people that only think the same thing. And I hate that. I would rather Facebook, like you just said, Jesse, just solve it a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I want to see things I don't agree with.
Yeah.
Right? Like I do. I want to hear
Right.
it. I want to, because again, this comes back full circle to what Neil was talking about earlier. Like I'm open to being convinced. Right? Like there are opinions that I didn't agree with 6 months ago that actually today I'm like, you know what? I actually agree with that. Like I'm very much a capitalist when it comes in my business, but I always joke with everybody, like amongst my friends and family, I'm a socialist.
Well, capitalism to me, I consider myself a capitalist. Yeah. To me, though, that doesn't mean destroy everybody so you get ahead.
No, exactly. It doesn't. And I think there's balance and there's some level of balance because like, when I'm having a bad day, I like to give away money. Right, like, or the same equivalent would be like, I know that homeless. I can't control what the homeless person does with it. I'll give them food, give them a drink, give them a $20 bill, right? Like, and I'll do that. I'll tip people that I see working. I'm having a really bad day. That's what I do all day. All day I'll be like, the coffee was $3. I'll give them a $20 bill, and it just it's selfish of me. Actually, it makes me feel better.
But you made a whole bunch of people feel good.
I made a whole bunch of people feel good, and you know what? By doing that, it made me feel really good.
So Donald Trump Jr. asked Elon Musk to do this.
Yeah.
But I doubt he'll do it. But he may do something like that. He may do his own platform or something.
Elon's
a pretty reasonable guy, though. I think he would be great.
I think he would just worry. He doesn't want to get pegged one way or another.
Right.
And I would worry about that.
Well, he actually offered to buy Twitter last year and said he just was going to shut it off.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, Elon said something, though, about that he believed that it was very dangerous because of the censorship and that he didn't want to be one political party, but he believed there should be a platform that doesn't allow the censorship.
Right, yeah.
So I feel like Elon's considering it.
Yeah, we should I think all social media should be based on the laws.
I don't think this should be, and this is not to get political, but it should not be a Trump social media. I think what Elon is saying is, I don't think we should be censoring people to this extent, and we need to work on something that because he has these satellites and because he's got all these other things, he thinks he can do it. I'm very open to that.
Well, we shouldn't have political parties at all.
Man,
I think that's the key. We should have no political parties.
Yeah, we got to do something.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah. So I'm open. I'm open for like literally, if I say something on air and you have a problem with it, like and as long as we're going to be.
Well, listen, we're not
respectful.
experts in this stuff either, so we're just talking shit. So if you guys don't like it, put it in the comments and tell us your perspective, and we'll look at it.
Yeah, maybe we'll have it on again.
Yeah, we can change our mind.
Yeah, maybe we can change our mind or change yours. But the goal is not to change your mind, actually.
Right,
The goal is
we're just having a conversation.
We're just talking, right?
Discussing ideas.
But I'm open to stuff. Like, I'm trying to think of something specific. But
since we're on, you brought up capitalism, and I'm a capitalist too. I think capitalism is good. I think it has to be regulated.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that there's different levels of capitalism, but I think you need a system. And it doesn't have to be capitalism. It just has to be a system where you have incentives for people to innovate and produce and be efficient. And you have to encourage people to continue to do what they do. So you need incentives. And I think capitalism does a good job with that. I mean, that's with all the negatives of capitalism. The positives are, poverty globally has decreased by 50% in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And that's directly because of capitalism, But there are definitely, big problems with capitalism, and we've talked about the issues of currency and the way we look at currency and the problems with that. So that there's a big discussion about raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour in the U.S. and I agree that wages are too low in the U.S., that people don't make enough money. We both agree that we need to raise the floor of the country.
I agree with that.
But the problem with this is that this is the government putting this burden on the businesses, and this is going to really affect small businesses more than anyone.
Yep.
If you have a small mom and pop business that pays their employees, maybe their starting wage is $8 an hour for a cashier, maybe it's a food business or something, and then maybe they pay a lot of their employees $10, $12 an hour. They can't really afford to pay their employees $15 an hour. They'll go out of business if they have to have that many employees.
So just to piggyback on what you're saying, so, and I don't know the numbers here, but I think not to a T, but something like 90% of businesses don't survive 5 years.
2 years.
Yeah, or 2 years, but 5 years the numbers goes up, right?
Right. Yeah.
But either way, so the fail ratio for a small business is already astronomically high.
Huge. Yeah.
And that's at the current pay rates. So one of my problems becomes this puts a lot of strain. Like, okay, so Jesse's I don't know if he always has been, but I feel like he's an entrepreneur, and I think that it's growing on him. I think he's definitely opening up to that whole side of things, right?
Sure.
Imagine the additional burden on you as an entrepreneur. If the cost to start something goes, it almost doubles. Right, just to get help. Like how do you have something that it does that? But then the other problem I have with a $15 hour minimum wage, the other issue I have is there's a lot, but I don't need the exact same amount of money I need in Ramsey, North Carolina, as I do in Manhattan, New York.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
Right. I think that having a baseline federal minimum wage that's the same in every single state and every single area does not make sense.
I just want to interject. I totally agree, and I see where you go. Why couldn't they have made it a more complex system? We can easily. We're human beings. We can understand this shit. We can make robots dance. Well, we can figure out the system to make it fair from state to state, or even I don't know how the differences are. I don't know if it's countywide, but we can go that low.
I agree.
Well,
and just change it.
I agree.
A good example is in this community in Greensboro, North Carolina. If you own a restaurant, it's a really tough business because your margins aren't very big. You can't have. If your prices are too high, nobody's going to eat the food because the wages aren't as high here.
That's right.
And if you go to a small town, it's even worse, or a smaller town. So what the government is doing is they're trying to virtue signal that they're doing something good when they're really just putting a burden on society.
Yeah.
And they're not solving the problem, because what will happen is these companies will raise their minimum wages, the ones that can make it.
Well,
and then they'll raise all their prices.
Or they'll start paying people under the table.
Or that, yeah. But
and then they got to raise, if they do comply, they have to,
because business is based on margin, right?
Yeah, so the business, what everybody doesn't get is that actually it's a net zero, because what's going to happen is the price is going to go up for everybody.
Yes, everybody's cost of living goes up, which completely destroys the purpose of the program.
Because if I got to pay double the wage, I've got to account for that in my price of my product, which means your product may double in cost.
Right.
And that's always.
Oh, sorry. Just for small businesses, it'll kill them. But something like McDonald's, they could handle it very easily.
No, they could. Sure.
And they added like a couple of cents on a couple of sandwiches.
Oh, 100%.
And I think maybe
big
places that
their
can
volume.
do it
Right.
could that thing, they have the room. They could probably pay a little more.
But what you end up with
but
is
McDonald's could do it. But what they're also doing is they're putting a lot of automation in place and AI.
That's true, yeah.
They're going to eliminate, because McDonald's
they'll get rid of cashiers.
Yeah, their number one expense is their staff.
Yeah.
So
any business.
Yeah.
Most businesses, your number one expense, especially small businesses, is your staff.
Is staff, yeah.
Payroll.
No, I mean, and us as owners of businesses, how many businesses have we? Because we're the last ones to get paid. The employees get paid first. Taxes get paid. Like everything gets paid. Inventory costs, everything gets paid. And if there's something left over, the owner gets paid.
Right.
Yeah. And so like that's that big thing. Like, it's one of those things. But here's the other thing that I think, and there are some people that are talking about this, but if the minimum wage goes to $15 an hour, what about the guy that's already making $15 an hour? So
he's entry level.
Yeah. So let's say there's a $9. Let's say somebody's at $9 an hour. They go to 15. They got a $6 an hour bump. The guy at 15 is supposed to go to 21.
Well, that person will just be entry level then.
Yes. I mean, like
because you can't. The problem is, the main problem is the way we look at currency.
Yeah.
This should be. We should look at these issues as there's a certain cost of living in society. How do we bring everyone up to that cost of living?
I agree.
And we say we need to look at our currency different, which they don't want to do. They don't want to change the value of the currency. If we would base a certain value of our currency on individuals, the value of individuals, instead of looking at our population as or people in our population as liabilities, look at them as assets, we would exponentially increase the value of our money. But also, if they don't want to do that, then we should start using some kind of cryptocurrency system in addition to our currency.
Yeah.
And we have one cryptocurrency that's just for medical, one that's just for food, and then from a federal level, we can issue those to people based on what their income is, in addition to their income. So we're not taking away from them. It's just if you make $8 an hour, then you qualify for a certain amount of these cryptos.
Yeah.
And that covers these other expenses in your life.
Well, who's the gatekeepers behind all this then?
Yeah.
Who is controlling this?
Would be our society. It would have to be.
Yeah, this is the hard part, right?
That's the
this
struggle.
is that censorship thing. Like, everybody's fine with being the gatekeeper as long and censoring other people until it turns on them.
But it's the same thing,
I
though,
agree.
because
I actually like where you're going with this, though. That what I kind of heard was, because I've always had a problem with, so let's say food stamps, for instance. I wouldn't.
well, all-out
be
welfare
careful.
programs actually they hinder or discourage work.
They do, but
So, but this is more of an incentive program, which would incentivize work.
so I guess what I was getting at too is one of the things I liked that you were saying, like crypto that's tied to specific things. So like crypto that can only be used for medical, crypto that can only
Right.
be used for food,
Yeah.
right? So because right now one of the things, and this has been going on for a long time, for as long as I can remember, there are people that sell their food stamps for 50 cents on the dollar. So they get $800 a month. They sell them for $400. It's illegal, by the way. I'm just pointing
But
that out to everybody.
you would have to base the value of the crypto on the population. So,
Yeah.
so every time someone's born, that
Yeah.
each one of those cryptos increases in value
Yeah.
based on the cost of living.
Yeah, there's definitely a complex formula that can be figured out. I agree. But I like the fact that you can only use it for food.
Right.
I like that, okay,
Yeah.
this is for medical. And that way, if you I think that would make it a little bit more difficult, because if somebody's just getting a check, let's just say, hey, we're just going to give $1,000 a month or whatever number, some arbitrary number
Yeah.
to everybody. Well, you don't know if that's getting spent on tattoos or cigarettes or alcohol or drugs.
It would be good to have it where it's not transferable either, where it's just to
For
that
that-
individual
and if they don't ever get
until
used,
they use it, and then it can be transferred.
how about if they never use it, it just expires.
Well, it can expire as crypto. So with cryptocurrencies, it's blockchain. So,
So then it would just have to be
so
inherited.
whatever is
Yeah.
created originally is there's a finite amount of that
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, but it can be, its value can increase infinitely.
Yep.
So you can always have a piece of it. So it can always increase in value. So you never run out of it, but it's always a finite amount, which is what makes
Yeah.
it valuable.
It seems like it would also reduce sort of psychological problems that people have over someone having money that can be used on anything,
Right.
as opposed to like,
Yeah, you
oh,
can't
this
buy a
is-
PS5 with your food cryptocurrency.
right.
I mean, for me, like,
But maybe you can't sell it to someone either.
yeah,
right.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you, like, for me, and this is just a personal thing, like, legitimately children starving, I'm not cool with. And
No.
if they're in my county, they're in my city, they're like, I'm not cool with that. Adults, I get a little less, I get a little less sympathetic, because a lot of times that's but I still don't want them starving, right? Like, so I feel like there's
The homeless issue is a lot of it has to deal with mental health.
I agree.
And I would be okay with us as a society building tiny home communities
Yeah.
and have mental health facilities on those sites.
So just to segue real quick, California, how many homeless are there in California? And what was it like?
in LA, there's 80,000.
All right, so
plus,
80,000.
and there's about the same in San Francisco.
So how many communities? How much space do you need to build tiny homes for 80,000 people?
I mean, there's a lot of land out there.
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
That's
not a whole lot.
So
Yeah.
I mean, what would it take? And then I'd love to put a number to it, but what does it take? And then this is where you get into this battle, this political battle. But nobody's solving the problem,
It shouldn't be politics. It's humanity.
yeah. So
Yeah.
and this is where I cross over, and people start to really get upset about this opinion. But like, let's say that you can build tiny homes for $10,000 a house, and there's 80,000 people. Like, we're really
Less than that.
yeah, but whatever the number is,
2,000 a house.
2,000 a house, right? So if it's 2,000 a house, we're talking
Probably less than that, really.
You think-
On that scale, yeah.
yeah. So we literally, it's a formula. Here's the number. Here's the math. Here's how much land we're going to use.
Well, if it's the government doing it, it's going to be way more.
That's
But
true.
If it were you and I doing it,
It'd be yeah. So and then you just solve it. Like, okay, it's $8 billion. Okay,
yeah,
like let's do it.
yeah.
Like just solve it. I'm over it.
Fix the problem.
Fix the problem.
Yeah.
And
Let's just all agree together to fix the problem.
yeah, I agree. Because right now it's just not being addressed.
Let's just change the construct.
yeah,
It's all it is. It's all imaginary.
I agree.
It's all ideas.
I'm not a
We
fan
just need
of
better ideas.
But to circle back, I'm not a fan of forced $15 minimum wage. I think people are going to lose their jobs.
It's not a solution.
I think that the more expensive that human payroll becomes, like that, then the more likely, the less expensive the AI and the technology and the automation becomes, because it's the cost there is fixed. And right now we even do that. We're looking, and I don't use self-checkout lines and stuff on purpose, because I'm like, man, these people don't get it. This is going to take their job.
I don't have a problem with that, because I think a lot of I think that as our technology advances, a lot of these entry-level jobs and a lot of these blue-collar jobs are going to go away anyway. That's why we need to look at the value of human beings.
Right. So what you just said is that it's already heading that way, and if entry-level positions go to $15 an hour, then guess they're already heading out.
There are no entry-level positions.
They're already heading out the door, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's kind of the point, is like you
to-
can raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, but what's going to happen is there's going to be that many more jobs replaced by automation.
Yes, and if we don't have a different system, then you're going to have an enormous lower class of people.
Yep.
And you're gonna start chopping away the middle class, and there won't be a middle class. It'll be upper class and lower class.
Yep.
Hopefully they can, like, because it'll probably pass or something like that. But hopefully, as it train wrecks and has problems, stuff can get adjusted and fixed so it can make more sense. I just hate that we have to make the mistakes first instead of like planning.
Well, listen,
a little
in 10
better.
or 20 years, our technology will do everything.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, even lawyers are being replaced by technology now, or not lawyers, but legal assistants.
Yeah.
You know.
So I got to tell you, so there's one of these things, and I just wonder. This is just speculation here. So time and a half.
we could replace our politicians with AI.
Yeah, 100%. But let's look at time and a half as, and so you working 40 hours a week, like for me, is laughable. And no offense to anybody out there, but
you enjoy what you do.
I enjoy what I do.
That's the difference.
Yeah, I do. But like when I hear somebody
Like
tell me,
you and I wouldn't work less than that anyway.
No, man.
If we just, I mean, we're always going to work 60 plus hours a week, no matter what.
No, I agree. So for me though, like who's the one that said, hey, 40 hours a week is considered full-time work, and if you work 1 hour over that, you get time and a half. Now here's the problem with time and a half, is that 150% of the pay. So what you've done to your employer is not going to give you overtime. Instead, they're going to hire somebody else, right?
Yes.
And I think that that's a disservice to a quality employee, because if you have a quality employee that's willing to work 50 or 60 hours a week because they need the extra money, instead of going and getting a second job, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they make $15, $20 an hour at the job they're at, and they'd like to get the extra 10, 20 hours a week. Instead, they go take a part-time job at McDonald's at $9 or $10 an hour, right? Because the employer doesn't want to pay them 150% of the wage. Instead, they can hire a second staff person. Like,
I'm sure there's something in this legislation that's got to do with that too. That says if you're not working a certain number of hours a week, you don't qualify.
What legislation are you talking about?
The $15 an hour minimum wage.
Okay, yeah.
There's probably something in there that
Yeah.
maybe not. You know, but this is also saying it'll be $15 an hour by 2025. So,
That seems, too late if it's a fix, and then
it's not a fix though.
I mean, like, it's not. Yeah. It's just a Band-Aid.
They can just raise prices
what that
slower.
Does, what all I was going to say is that is designed to raise prices slower, and you're going to have a net zero effect.
You'll be in the same place you are today.
Exactly.
Then, or worse.
And people are going to go out of business slowly over time. It won't be so abruptly.
Right.
That's what that's designed to do.
It's got to be something that this has to be something we agree to as a society, that we're going to say, okay, we're going to subsidize people that make under a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
And we're going to help them reach this certain level together. And that way, the burden's not all on small businesses, it's on all businesses and all people in society.
We have companies that literally, if we raise because we've kind of halfway looked at this, if we raise the minimum wage or the wage, or even say the average wage to $15 an hour, those companies are without directly raising the prices, those companies become defunct. They go out of business.
Yeah, there's nothing left. Yeah.
We have to pass almost 100% of the money, 100% of the raise onto the client, onto the customer,
so
the end user.
Right, yeah.
Right, so again, cost of living goes up. Right, so wage goes up, and then cost of living goes up almost directly in the same proportion.
Yep.
And like Jesse said, hey,
Here's an
McDonald's can spread it across a lot of things, but
Yep.
Then what you're going to end up with is you're going to end up with just major companies as employers. That's it.
You know who's really going to hurt from this would be like staffing agencies.
Yeah.
He's going to destroy those businesses.
Yeah.
There's no way. Nobody can afford them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, all roads lead to and some
Bullshit.
level. Yeah, and I don't like the way we're going. But you had said something earlier about not on the podcast, but prior to about Romney.
Oh yeah. So Mitt Romney's got this plan that's pretty interesting, and I like it because he's he's a Republican, so and a lot of Democrats like this plan too, or some version of it.
I was going to say he's Republican-ish.
Yeah, he's sort of a moderate. He's sort of a centrist, which I think everybody should be in the center. But
yeah, and I hate to say that, but like I think we need, if we're going to have a party system, I think we actually need about 5 more titles.
well, you need conservatives and liberals. But
I agree,
but you don't need parties.
I agree.
They all need to be in the same party so you can have, because you need ideas.
Yeah.
And there's certain people. We're all wired differently. We all have. We're all predisposed to certain ideas and certain personality traits that all add to society. You know, we it's a balance, right?
Yep.
You know, some people are really super creative and some people are really analytical.
Yeah.
And you need both.
I agree.
So, but Mitt Romney's got a plan to provide $3,000 per child to every family in the country, and I think I believe it's
per year.
It's $4,200 for children per year for children up to 6, and then $3,600 per year. Okay, so it's $3,600 per year for every child up to 6 years old, and then $3,000 for every child between 6 and 17 years old per year. It'll be split up in monthly payments to the family. It's actually a check that goes to that family for that child. What he's doing though is he's taking he wants to do away with a welfare system that we have, which most welfare systems have been eliminated anyway. The just all out welfare systems. But he's wanting to take away from another system that we have and replace it with this. And the benefit of this is, I think it goes to families that make up to maybe it's like $200,000 or $400,000 a year household income. So
does it tear down? I'm assuming as the income goes up, or is it
no?
just
It's
flat?
it's just flat, and so it's for everybody. And so it encourages people to still work. You know, it's not saying if you make more money, we're going to take away your benefits. No, it's just a sorry about that. Had to turn off the alarm system for the nanny. It's just to help families because the U.S. has, of all the first world countries, or what's the right term for that? Yeah, we'll just say all of the first world countries in the world. The U.S. has some of the highest child poverty rates, and there's no reason for that. That's insane. And this would help with that tremendously.
It sort of reminds me a little bit. I know it's different and probably a very different kind of system, but it sort of reminds me of the per cap system. Like, kids up till like age of 7, and actually it goes on through adulthood too. I mean, and this is like Native American tribes. I'm not sure if it's the same across all tribes or if each tribe has sort of got their own stuff figured out differently. But you get a certain amount of money appropriated to you each year. The first, like at a certain age, it's almost like a bond. You can't really get it until you turn a certain age, and then it's released to you. So when you see a lot of good and bad happening, but kids getting out of high school, what is that? What are they going to do with 20 grand?
Yeah.
But it's kind of an interesting system in that kind of way.
Well, this is designed to help families
pros and cons to
pay
it.
for food.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, for sure.
I was going to tell you, the only thing I don't like about this plan is that what's going to happen is listen, people that are good people that are trying to feed their kids, this is going to be great for, but there's going to be this level of abuse too. You got families that are buying drugs and tattoos and doing all this other shit that they shouldn't be doing, and they're not feeding their kids.
Food, cryptocurrency.
I was going to say.
Yeah, medical cryptocurrencies.
Yep.
Cryptocurrencies would greatly solve that problem.
Yep. I mean, maybe it's like a health savings account, like literally, like it just stores and you can only use it for that thing, and then it's able to be passed down to your heirs, whatever the case. But there's got to be something though, because it's ripe for abuse.
But unfortunately, kids in those families, that's another issue. They're going to be fucked either way.
Yeah. So
until we figure out how to solve that problem. But I think raising the floor is the future solution to that, though.
There are people. So pick anything that's controversial. Like let's say you're a cigarette smoker, right? People are using their benefits to buy cigarettes. People are using their benefits to buy drugs. People are using their benefits to gamble. People are using for whatever it is that whatever their vice is, whatever their thing is, some people are using their benefits to go golf. They love to golf. They like name brand clothing. They're using it for that. The problem is we can't control that the money being given is used for the intended purpose, right? And so so on some level, that's why I like what you're saying about the cryptocurrency that's earmarked. So, hey, this is medical, this is for food. And that way it should only be able to be used at those places. That doesn't eliminate abuse, but it makes it much more difficult.
If you can't sell it to other people, it helps a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, some people are too lazy to go get the food.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
although you don't have to go anywhere today.
That's being solved now.
You can just order it.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't even go into the grocery store anymore.
Yeah.
Just go pick it up. And as far as goods and for the house and stuff, we order everything.
Yeah.
It says right here, and this is the Washington Post, by the way. If someone wants to read the article, it's the Washington Post. This article came out, February 4th, 2021. The United States currently has among the highest rates of child poverty in the developed world.
Wow. Yeah, it shouldn't be there.
No. Shouldn't be an issue.
No.
But I think, it's good. I think, this is a good bipartisan
I agree.
step in the right direction. I still don't think it's a solution because of all the issues that we've
I like the
about.
fact that it doesn't discourage people from working. I do like that angle there.
Yeah, I like that.
I think there's some holes, but some small things that need to be adjusted. But yeah, I don't know. Do you think?
I think it'll take several generations to fix the problems we have right now with poverty because you have poverty mentality.
Yeah.
But the goal is children.
Yeah.
If you want to fix the society, you change the mentality of the children that are still flexible. They still have neuroplasticity, or lots of it. Hey, did you see I was just talking to Jesse about it during the break, but did you see the recent thing where I think it was senators, they were on a Zoom conference or something, and one of them had he had a filter on his feed, and he looked like a cat, like this cartoon cat, and he couldn't turn it off. And I'm thinking, these are the people that are dealing with these super genius tech companies, and he can't even turn a fucking filter off of his computer on his Zoom feed.
This is an example of why we have the problems we have.
Yes. It's so funny.
What it also means is that the last person he was talking to on that had that filter set up.
Probably his kid or something. Yeah. It may have been him. Maybe it was on some weird site.
Yeah, maybe.
Furry site.
Yeah.
Either that or his like scorned lover or kids played a really funny joke on him. Like, you got it ready for me, honey? Oh yeah, I got it for you.
It's good to go.
It's a good thing they didn't have like a virtual dick. Like,
that's unfortunate he didn't have that on there. That would have been much better. The next time that they do something like that with some of these tech guys, the tech guys should have them hack his computer.
Yeah. Dude, I've seen so many Zoom. Just this is a tangent, but I've seen so many like blooper, like they're having a conference call, and like this guy like he's getting stuff out, he's getting prepared to do some things, and he thinks his screen is. And they're watching him the whole time.
Oh yeah.
There's been like some,
you got caught jerking off.
Last
year.
There's been some where like they're wearing a shirt, right, but they've got nothing else on because they're
got to watch those reflections behind
bro.
you.
Yeah. Or they stand up to do something and like underwear or butt ass naked,
or somebody's on their way to the shower in the background.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like they're in their master bedroom and. The husband or wife is walking by behind them, like taking off their clothes, getting ready to get in the shower, like just totally unaware they're like being streamed across to. And some of these are big corporations, like thousands of employees. Yeah, it's crazy.
That kind of stuff is kind of shocking that they just don't have enough self-control or
Yeah, I think I'm not going to wear pants today, huh?
Or they're not self-aware enough to understand. Like maybe you should just wait an hour or 2 hours.
Yeah.
I bet there are a lot of people not wearing pants out there.
Oh, there are.
Oh, I'm
there
sure,
are,
yeah.
man. Listen, I get it. You want to multitask, right? But if you can't work to jerk your gherkin, man, you got a real problem. Like you got to wait till after the conference call.
Right.
Like you got to get a calendar, you got a time slot, you got a 1 o'clock conference call. Call wraps at 2:15, jerking a gherkin. Like whatever it is, but we got to time slot this stuff, man.
Yeah, if you have to do that in the middle of the day during a conference call, then you might have an issue.
Yeah, there might be a problem.
Yeah.
That wife that was walking behind you to go get a shower, you probably need to have a conversation with her later.
Right.
You guys need to get back to what brought you together.
Or at least schedule a different time slot for that
Exactly.
activity.
Well, these are all most of these are corporate executives, so time slotting should be time
be good at that,
slotting
right?
101. Yeah.
Yeah. Should understand that.
So, yep. I don't know about you, but and maybe this is, I say it's only a male thing, but maybe this is all things. But if that's of interest to me, I'm mentally time slotting for it. I'm like, okay, well, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, and I can get here by this point. And okay, it's going to be about, like, I'm literally planning it out in my head way in advance.
Shouldn't be that difficult. Yeah.
It shouldn't be that difficult, but sometimes I'm like way ahead of myself. so craziness. 2020, 2021, COVID times.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoom.
It'll be really weird when people are doing a lot of VR meetings because then you have no idea what they're doing.
That's true. That is very true.
You got a whole room full of people jerking off at the same time. Nobody knows.
Meetings are just now places for kinks.
Yeah. Well, I'm just wondering.
You got some perv that just gets off on doing
have
that.
Have a good
during the meeting.
excuse. Like, Daniel, we hear you breathing heavy. Are you okay? Oh, just on the old elliptical. Yeah, just on the old elliptical, man. Get a little
cardio.
Doing a little cardio. I got one of those standing desks attachments. Right, it's right there at my elliptical, and
just on the elliptical.
Oh,
well, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah,
done.
Taking a break, fellas.
Going to sleep.
Got time for a smoke, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway.
All right.
Tangent.
Yes. That'll be a good clip.
Good
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about today?
Man, I think I don't know. I think
we
covered a lot.
Yeah.
We covered a lot. I do want to I don't know if we can talk about it yet, but we got an interesting guest that might be coming on soon. So, couple. But
yeah. We'll wait though.
Yeah, we'll wait. We don't. A little teaser.
We were contacted by someone really interesting today. So
yeah.
We'll say this, just a closing idea or thing. So the oldest human remains ever found date back to over 300,000 years. Homo sapien remains. So for about 99% of our existence, we haven't done shit.
Yeah. So we're doing a whole lot now.
So we should be impressed with ourselves.
We are. I'm very impressed.
Yeah. Compared to those primates, we're doing pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah, and anybody that's discouraged about how long something takes, you're 30 days in, you're 3 days in, you're a year into something. Just put it in that perspective.
Yeah.
Like
humans didn't start doing really impressive stuff until about 15,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. Good changes. Well, guys, if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Later, guys.
Wow.
Bye.
Bye.